Hi everyone, this is Manny from Art Mellows. Today we will sculpt this really badass pumpkin on Nomad Sculpt. The picture you see here is from Google, so this is going to be our inspiration, but we will improvise it. We will add some more crooked teeth and we'll see where it goes. Let's get started. So depending on the shape of pumpkin, I think in this case a spear is an obvious choice. So the next step obviously is to get up somewhat a shape of a pumpkin, and we will use move tool for that. So just before we start, we will use this setting here. Go to radial symmetry, select y-axis and maybe crank this up to 6. Use your move tool and try and get somewhat this shape. Okay, next we'll use smooth tool and make it a little bit smoother. Yep, that looks good. Okay, so next go back to your symmetry settings and change it to 8. Select your brush tool, keep it minus subtraction mode and try and make these lines. Okay, next keep your symmetry on, go to move tool and make a little bit depression on the top and below. Okay, so we are getting closer to the shape now. So we are done with the symmetry job. Now go ahead and switch it off. If you're trying to make this pumpkin like how you see in the picture, then it is a little bit more bulky in the top and a little bit more roundish, and we'll try and achieve that with the move tool. Reason I'm keeping symmetry off is because I want it to look organic and not too perfect. Now we will use alpha tool to make shape of his eyes, nose and mouth. So at the moment our spear is very low resolution, and you would notice that the mask tool would not be very sharp. So what we will do is we'll increase the subdivision of the spear, make it a bit more high res and create a nice mask. Need not be like a picture, however you want. So the next step would be to invert this mask and then use inflate tool and make a good hole out of this. If you come across this kind of issues, then you can use your smooth tool to smoothen it out a little bit and continue using your inflate tool. I feel at this point of time we have pushed our mesh too much and it has lost its integrity. So go ahead and voxelate it, and you can further continue using your inflate tool. Voxelate it one more time, and I'm back to using my inflate tool to make the holes a little bit deeper. So this is a very tricky bit of sculpt, which sometime as a new user you may not know. When you have pushed your sculpt too much, push too much, it kind of starts losing its integrity. And this is when you have to voxelate it, so that kind of helps to bring it back to its original shape, and then it kind of behaves a little bit better when you sculpt it further. So here we are trying a little bit different than our reference image. So what we'll do is we'll try and make its wall a little bit thicker. So we will make an indication of gums, so just to make it a little bit more real like. You can use combination of brush tool and inflate tool and continue sculpting like this. I think it'll make more sense once we achieve the result. And I guess even when you carve a real pumpkin, it has like a really thick wall and it is hollow from inside, so you're trying to depict that here. It's time to lose our mask so we can clear the whole mask, and then we can further continue doing a little bit more detail here. You can even use polish tool to shape this a little bit even better. Free to use your drag tool and move tool to make your shapes a little bit better. Next we'll try and make a little bit more details. We're just trying to copy what we see in image at the moment. We'll use brush tool, inflate tool and probably a little bit of move tool to get that what we are hoping for. Keep some patience, do not start adding too much details now. We're just trying again to block out some areas, trying to get some definition out of it. Okay, now we'll make these grooves even more stronger and deeper, and to get a little bit more shape and variety you can even use clay tool. If you're somewhat happy with this, you can again smoothen it back. Whoever has created this pumpkin, the one you see in reference image, has a very good understanding about human anatomy. it's just a pumpkin and you're trying to make it appear like a, human expressions and everything. So we'll work a little bit more harder, and we'll try and get that expression on this pumpkin. And this is what is going to make it look very, very interesting. At the beginning of the tutorial, we had discussed about adding tooth on this pumpkin. So we'll do that. Whenever you add some element on your main sculpt, then you'll have to make sure that it interacts. So when we add tooth, we'll have to make gums, and the gums are like holding tooth, and they basically we'll have to make those tooth talk to our main sculpt, right? So it's very important that we make the base of the tooth very nice and realistic. Again, have some reference, have a look at some crazy sculpt, monster sculpts. We are going to use inflate tool in combination with brush tool. So what we'll do is we will add spear on this gum, and we will use drag tool to kind of get a shape of a tooth. You can use insert tool and make sure your symmetry is off, and you can start adding spear. Very easy, just insert spear and use your gizmo tool to minimize the shape. You can even use clone tool, so that will duplicate your spear, and you can do that way as well if you want. You would notice that you'll have so many spears added in your sculpt. So in order to manage a little bit better, you can select all the spear and simple merge it. Do not voxel merge it. The advantage you have with simple merge is you can split them back. Voxel merge is irreversible. Next, we will use drag tool to make a nice tooth out of this. Since we have simple merged it, if you think like the top tooth is coming on your way when you're trying to sculpt the lower tooth, then you can use move tool, because that way you'll be able to only target a single tooth. Once we have all tooth in place, we'll try to define gum a little bit more. You can even make some detailing in tooth. So the idea is whatever you create, whatever sculpt it is, it should tell you some story. And the story of this pumpkin is that it has done a lot of nasty things, and consequently he has damaged his tooth in process. Make sure you subdivide teeth, only then you'll be able to do some more detailing there. So I've taken special care of its tooth interacting with the skull, and for these, and use your brush tool. So with the stem, we will use tube tool. I'm not sure if you know how to use tube tool. So you select tube tool, and then you select one of these curve or path. In this case, I've selected path, and you add different points, tick on the green stuff, and now you have tube ready. So before you validate, you still have opportunity to tweak the shape. You can add more points, and you can bend it there. If you move 2 points closer, then one of the point will be deleted. If you want to reduce some number of points, so this is how it works, and it's really great tool. You can go back to radius, and you can even change the diameter of particular point. So this is what I've done here. The base, I've kept it thick, while the other parts is a little bit narrower. Further, I've used trim tool to make a very random cut. I've used drag tool in the base of the stem, so kind of connects to our main body of pumpkin. So we'll add 2 more spears in his eyes, and we'll try and add some glow in it. So I think we are good to go now. Maybe we'll add a little bit texture to it so the pumpkin looks a little bit old. As I said, we are trying to create a story here. Use alphas. You go to your brush tool, under brush tool settings, you go to grab dynamic, and under alpha you select, hopefully I have something here which I can use for our pumpkin. Some final tweaks here and there. Okay, I think this is good. So with a little bit of post-processing, we can push this to something like this. Okay, so let us add some texture and some material and see what we can come up with. Okay, so this is good enough to scare kids in your neighborhood. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'm sure you will give a go. And do let me know if there is something not clear. I will try and read your comments and respond to them. Wishing you a happy Halloween. Signing off. This is Matt.